Welcome to Love and Dialogue, the podcast where love speaks. I'm Tristan.
And I'm Brianna. We're so excited to have you join us as we explore the ups, downs, and all the in-betweens of relationships in all forms, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or family.
Whether you're here for heartfelt stories, honest advice, or just a good laugh, you're in the right place.
Relationships come in all varieties and dynamics, and we're on this journey together, sharing our experiences and learning along the way.
Every week, we dive into real conversations about what it takes to build and nurture meaningful connections in our lives.
So let's dive in together and see where this love-filled journey takes us, no matter what kind of relationship you're navigating.
Thanks for tuning in to Love and Dialogue. Let's get started. Welcome back, folks. Welcome back to the Love and Dialogue podcast with your host, Tristan, and the lovely
Brianna.
What do we got for the folks today, Bree?
All right, guys. So today we will be talking about relationship myths. So there are a lot of relationship myths out there, or beliefs that people have about relationships. And today we're just going to talk about a few of them and see our thoughts on them, maybe our experiences with them, and then what we believe, if it's a myth or it's true or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there, and I was reading through a few, and it was just like, there's a lot. Like the first one that I think that I really gravitated with was like, couples don't argue. And to me, I'm just like, I sometimes think it's healthy to argue, because if you're just agreeing on everything, that's kind of like a very bland relationship. How you really growing and learning from one another and knowing what someone likes, what someone doesn't like. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's levels to arguing too. And I wonder what this is trying to portray, right? Because there's like the yelling and screaming arguing, which I don't think is necessarily helpful. But I also think that you need to have conversation about different things. And sometimes you're going to disagree. And I don't know, like, I think it's layered, right? So is arguing the same as disagreeing? Like, is that what we're saying? Or are we saying that they're two different things? Like,
I equate them as the same, because it's all disagreements. So
yeah.
like sometimes it could be like two tensions going against one another, and I guess that's when you have the arguing. But also, to your point, there is like healthy arguing, healthy disagreements, not the aggressive ones where you get to like the very physical confrontation type. Like that should never cross that even line, get close to that line. I think just be having those conversations, because sometimes you never know how someone's feeling about in a situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could be in a bad mood, the other person could be in a good mood, and you're just trying to conversate. But then you have those aggressive tensions and it could go south, right?
Yeah. No, I just think, I don't know if I agree though that disagreements and arguments are the same, because I feel like you can disagree. Like we can know that, like I can have my opinion about something and you can have it's almost like that same statement of agree to disagree type of thing. Before you're actually getting into the argument, I feel like the argument comes from, at least my belief is that when we are each staying in our space, in our belief, right? Rather than trying or willing to maybe, process what the other person might be, where they're coming from. So I feel like arguments are healthy because they help you to understand the other person's point of view. So
I think if you even take a step back, really disagreements can lead to arguments. It's a layered approach.
There you go. I like that. That feels good. Disagreements can lead to arguments, but they don't always lead to arguments, I would say too. And then I think, kind of back to what I was saying too about the different types of arguing. Like I always say, like, I don't feel like I feel like for a long time we didn't argue, but I think it was just like us kind of internalizing everything. And then like, I think we've gotten more comfortable with each other and being together and just the natural things of life. I feel like more things come.
It was that bottled up piece, right?
Yeah.
Like I think we held a lot of our emotions and thoughts just because we cared about the other person's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes you lose sight of like your own feelings and being able to express it to your own partner, which in all reality is healthy to be able to share those feelings with your partner, because now you're not feeling like internally that you're keeping all these things from your partner. And then you have crazy outburst of emotions, right? Mm-hmm. Towards your partner, and they don't know where that's coming from. But if you're like over time, you're sharing your feelings, you're naturally keeping yourself from getting to that argument, and you just have disagreements and keep it at the surface layer.
Yeah. And I think personality has a big play in all of that. Like, I think, if we were talking about us specifically, like you're more of a non-confrontational type. Like I'm not saying I am confrontational, but you're less likely to kind of go into the back and forth. Whereas I'm like, well, let's kind of talk it through in this moment. So that can sometimes even lead to arguments. But I don't know. I think this is a myth. And because what did it say?
Good.
Let's look at it. Let's get our references, guys. Happy couples never argue is what it says. And so I personally believe that that is a myth. I don't think,
Definitely a myth.
yeah, I do think that is healthy to argue. It's healthy to have conversations because when you do engage in some of that back and forth, that's how you learn about your partner
Exactly.
and what they believe.
100%.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
another myth for us?
All right. The next one we have here is love alone is enough to make a relationship work.
False. Myth.
Off the bat,
Off the bat.
no reasoning.
Reasoning is that you need more than love.
Yeah.
You need presence.
Yeah.
And I think love is just the affection that you can share with one another.
Mhm.
But you also need that physical piece. You need that communication piece, which is not our essence of love,
Yeah.
but it's not love. It's just the core piece. You need a lot of pieces to make a whole relationship truly work.
Yeah. It's like expectations versus reality. I feel like love is the expectation. Like you have love, it's the baseline of your relationship, right? The love and care that you have for each other. But there's so much more in life that happens, especially when you throw in finances, kids, and
Yeah.
religion and work and everything. I mean, like there's so many things that you're going to be, put up against in your relationship, in your life that love. Yes, I think it can be a glue. It can help, right? You definitely have to have the love there and the love and care to be able to have the motivation to make something work. So I view love as more of as a motivation to want to be able to make things work with your partner. And when that love and care is there, you're more likely to be willing to do it. But love alone, that ain't
No,
it.
no. You definitely need more pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely it's like a puzzle. It's like love is is a piece to the puzzle. It's
Yeah.
only one piece.
I would
It's
say
not
it's
the
the
whole thing.
core center of holding things together,
Yeah.
but you definitely have to have your perimeter of all the other caveats that go into a
Hmm.
relationship be
Yeah.
met.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's one that we could definitely dive a little deeper in, having just a conversation about the piece that love plays in it, and then all the other pieces that come with it. Because yeah, no, love isn't enough. But
Yeah.
I do love you.
I do love you too. What's another myth?
Alright. Ooh, this one. Jealousy is a sign of love.
See, I never understand that.
Yeah,
Eh, I just could be just from being a male and just not
yeah,
understanding like a jealousy piece
yeah,
and like how that equates to like a strength of a relationship.
yeah. Jealousy is a sign of love. I disagree with that. I don't think it's a sign of love, but I can understand when people could have that like idea because they're basically saying that like they're protective of their partner, right? And so the jealousy is coming from their want and need and love and care and all the things, right? Do I think that it is healthy?
Definitely not.
No.
Because isn't like jealousy like what's the word? Lack of a better word, like self insecurities.
Yeah.
So theoretically, it's just an unhealthy mindset.
Yeah. No. Jealousy is definitely not helpful. But like I said, I think I can understand why someone might believe that. Like I can understand the concept of it. Do I think it is how there's any facts to it? No, I don't think there's any truth to it because yeah, you're insecure, which is leading you to act a certain way. And I think also again, I'm add another layer to it. I think it also depends on how you show it too. Like if
True.
you're getting jealous and you're I don't know, going crazy and like losing your mind a little bit, then that's definitely not the way to go about it. But if you're also getting jealous and you're having some feelings and you can express that to your partner about it,
Yeah.
I also don't think that's such a bad thing because you can be open and have that open conversation about your feelings or things that are coming up. Because I think insecurity is something that everybody experiences, whether
Yeah.
they want to admit it or not. So I think being able to have conversations about that is what's going to help you get through it versus either internalizing it or getting really angry about it because it's a feeling that you have. So the
You're
feeling
not
is
wrong.
there, you know?
You're not wrong. And like the biggest underlying thing you said, communication, which is, in my opinion, 99.999% of all success in a relationship is communicating effectively.
Communicating effectively. I like that you added that word on me because we can communicate all you want. I mean, you can talk in circles and still get nowhere. So
Exactly.
communicating effectively is a key for sure.
What's another myth?
All right. So we're going to go through two more. The next one is good relationships don't require work.
In what life? Not this one.
I'm more like, what does that even mean?
It's like saying like you're like, oh, we go out, oh, we're married, but we don't really got to do much together. We could just, just let the days go on, and we interact when we interact. And I just think that's not a healthy relationship. That's just like two people like being roommates.
Yeah. When I think of relationships, I think of it like a plant. You know what I mean? Like you have to put the seed in, you have to grow, you have to water it, you have to make sure that you're taking care of it. It's a consistent thing. It's constant work.
Yeah,
I don't think you
good
ever
sunlight,
stop working.
not too much sunlight. You know, there's all those little caveats of it.
Yeah, make sure you're moving it around. Make
Yeah,
sure it's happy in its home. And, like if it was in the sun, maybe it needs a break from the sun.
strong nurturing.
Strong nurturing. Yes, that is key. Because I feel like that's the problem. It's when you don't think you have to put in work in a relationship and you think it's supposed to be easy when people give up. It's like when you think about failed marriages in general, I feel like, if you look at the statistics, it's usually when they go through a rough patch, like,
Yeah,
different things such as finances or having a baby or there's a life shift or switch.
yeah.
And that adjustment piece is where the hard work comes in, and people don't necessarily, maybe they're not ready to do the hard work, or maybe again, they don't have the mindset that is what is involved in a relationship is that hard work piece.
Or it never started from the very beginning. The expectations were kind of laid, because if you're coming into a relationship and there's not really much being put into it, and it's no, everyone has a different what much looks like, right?
Yeah.
But if you're not really, going through those disagreements, you're not really doing like strong communication. You get to these points when you have these tiffs that, you kind of just let it go all to south, right?
Yeah.
You're not really putting in that investment of time, being able to communicate effectively.
Mhm.
And, you get to these rough patches, as you said, and you kind of just, it's trying to go sour. And then you start reminiscing, or even if you go to couples therapy and you're trying to figure out where did things go wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes it came from the very beginning, like if you weren't really putting in that effort that you thought needed to be put in the beginning, how can you get through these rough patches?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if we go back to my comparison to, planting and growing things, yeah, it's from the beginning. Were you in the correct soil?
I
Did
was
you
about to
have
say,
good
yeah,
foundation,
yeah.
right?
Was
You
the
know what I
pot
mean?
right?
Was the plot right? Was it a good fit? You
You
know?
know,
So it's all that. Yeah. I think yeah, it's just, there's so many layers to that. Like, that's crazy. Again, so far, have we agreed to any of these myths?
no, they're all myths.
They are definitely myths. All right. The last one is couples should always spend all of their time together.
I like that statement to be hybrid from myth and reality, because I do feel, and when you're in a relationship and you're really bought into each other, you do need to spend time together.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it should be all the time. I think you
Mhm.
should definitely have your space. I should definitely have my space.
Mhm.
Even go out with your friends at time, just to give you that homeostasis boundary of just like, I can still be in a relationship, but I can still be myself and go out and hang out with friends. Cause I feel like a lot of people, they get into relationships and they kind of disassociate, detach themselves from their friends. And you kind of lose identity of like who you were. And now you're just in this relationship. And then it's just like, you get to that frustration piece of like, oh, I just wish like we can just separate or do
Mhm.
something separate, but everything's always together. We're always on top of each other.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think the identity piece is the biggest one. It's like sometimes what can happen is when you completely immerse yourself in your partner, you lose yourself in them. And then somehow you're not able to separate what's what and where you are in all of that. So I think the individuality comes from that separate time and space. I think, I always joke about kind of us and our situation because like we moved in during COVID and like the whole
Yeah.
world shut down. And it was like, I think for us, like, well, not for us, I would just say for me, like in the first part of our relationship, like I wanted to spend all my time with you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Well, one, because that's all we were all we had.
Yeah. Yeah.
We
There's a
were
lot
our
of
bubble.
unknown.
Yeah. So we were our bubble for such a long time so that when the world opened back up and changed, like it was an adjustment for me to kind of have that mindset shift of like, it is normal for us to do things separate. You know what I mean? It wasn't something that I was like mad at her or anything or had feelings about. It was just, it was an adjustment because
Yeah.
we had gone being together like all the time. So I always make jokes like, oh, I'm taking my husband everywhere. Like if I can, you know what I mean? But I also recognize the importance of our alone time and spending time with friends, our
Yeah.
girls, our boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with all these myths that we share with you guys, we would love to hear in the comments what you guys think about when in your situation, what are myths and what are the realities and what we shared today.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely share in the comments. Be sure to like all the good things down below so that we can have more of a conversation about it. What are some myths that we didn't address today that you have experienced yourself? Or maybe you disagree with us. Maybe you don't think they're myths. Maybe you think they're true. Let us know either way.
Yet again, we are your hosts, Tristan and the lovely.
Brianna,
Thank you again. Till next time.
bye.